People, even in their happy marriages, if you start talking about divorce, they straight away start arguing. One of the clients I work with, he will ask his children to take photos when they're with the mom so he can see who is in the house. More and more relationships, and when women get to midlife, right?
So neither of them
No.
knew. And how long had they been together?
Maybe over 20 years now. You know, people come and say, what would break the marriage? I don't know what would break your marriage. Ask your partner.
So people ask you
Yeah.
what would break their own
Yeah.
marriage.
It's about waking up one day and looking at your partner saying, who are you? I don't even know you.
Before we get into today's topics, over 98% of our viewers aren't subscribed to the channel yet. It would be great help to the channel if you could subscribe. It really helps us produce more content. So please click the follow button and the subscribe. Now let's get on with the show. Welcome to another episode of Is That Legal with me, Paul Britton, solicitor in London's Mayfair, Britton and Times solicitors. I've been a divorce solicitor now for over 10 years, and I'm joined by Monica Braglewicz,
Yes.
who is a divorce coach.
Yes.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. So as you said, I'm Monica Braglewicz. I'm the breakup and divorce practitioner coach. Yeah, and I've been coaching for 3 years now.
Great. And we've got some interesting stories today. So where shall we start? How did you get into divorce coaching and breakup coaching?
Yeah, came to England in 1997, was very young, met, what I thought best or love of my life. And yeah, things kind of went, we were quite happy for a bit, and then things went really bad. When looking back now, it's almost like quite sad. So I want to make sure I want to help people like myself.
Does that seem like a different life?
It does, yeah. I've got a picture on Instagram where this is me, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and it's like looking at a stranger.
So you met here in England?
Yeah.
And then married.
Ended up staying for a bit longer.
How long were you married for?
So I was with him almost 16 years.
Wow. Okay.
So we were married for I think it was 2012 when he finally moved out.
But the story start off like a normal traditional
Yeah.
love story. You met, you fell in
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
you got engaged.
Yeah.
Happiest day of your life,
Yeah.
your marriage.
Yeah.
And then the day you moved into your first house together, was that
I remember going out with my friend from work, and I remember we went out, and on the way home I said, you know what, he's great, but not great for me. I know this is this is not forever.
And what year was this at?
So it must have, it was at least, I reckon, maybe 5-6 years into before
But then
I
you held out for the same period again.
Yeah.
What made you carry on?
Small children.
Yeah.
So I do talk to a lot of, especially obviously women, or men as well, because men is like, when the children get older, I will leave. Or like for me, for women, I think it's more of a stability as I can't afford to leave yet, because if you've got 3 children and you have to worry about childcare, the whole co-parenting, unless obviously they're very toxic and unhealthy and, completely not engaging with the children, then obviously that's, if you leave or stay, it doesn't make much difference. But if they still kind of have some engagement, picking them from school and doing at least the basic things, if you've got 2 small children, what are you going to do?
There's a saying, busy people are happy people. So when the kids are young and you're busy with them, you can keep yourself happy. But actually when the children get to teenage years, they're on their phones, they're out with their friends. You don't have to do their lunchboxes anymore. You don't have to do the school runs. They're making their own way to school.
Yeah.
So you now have more time to think.
Which is why more and more relationships end in when women get to midlife, right? Because that's kind of where your children get into that, independent universities, and you suddenly sit on a sofa. They're saying, you look to your left and you think, who are you? You don't even know me. The other day, someone said to me, I asked my husband, what's my favorite color? And they looked at her like, what? And then he was like, well, what's my favorite color? And she said, you know what? I actually didn't know.
So neither of them
No.
knew. And how long had they been together?
maybe over 20 years now.
I wonder how many people listening to this will now go and ask their partner, what's my favourite
I
colour?
know. It's really sad that when we meet, it's like love, right? We want to know more about each other.
Songbirds
We're
are
like,
singing.
yeah, like
The butterflies are in your stomach. The excitement.
You ask your partner, what food do you like? Where can I take you? It's like, what holidays do you like? What happens over the years where you just
We
go
want to
on
see the
holiday
world
and
together. Where should we go next?
Yes.
To
Yeah.
have you got the flicker for the TV? Shall we watch this tonight?
I mean, on Halloween, I wrote this story about how do you turn from this amazing lover to a vampire. It's really sad. But actually having conversations, so people tend to ask me, like friends or like when we go out for dinners with another couples. And when you start having conversation, you end up having couples arguing at the table because they're like, well, actually, if I'm working all my life and you're sitting at home, then why should I give you 50% when I'm leaving? It's like, so it's almost like people, even in their happy marriages, if you start talking about divorce, they straight away start arguing.
I just think they reached agreed. And you're right, one will always say, I've earned all the money, I should take it all out.
Yeah.
But I will say, but if it's the other party, it's like, yes, but they wouldn't have been able to go out and earn that money had you not done the bit at home.
So even the happy marriages that you still happy, they think they're still happy. As soon as you start having this conversation, there's already a bit of a, what do you mean? Like, so it's like, wow, if you're already having that type of conversation when you're happy in a relationship, can you imagine what happens when you're actually going through divorce?
So Monica, where does your role fit in amongst lawyers and other professionals in the divorce process?
I think of myself like a bridge between the professionals, because it's like the lawyer, like yourself, you're going to tell the client what the law says and what they can do. The therapist, for example, will tell them why they're feeling the way they're feeling. But how do you do all this when you in this, volcano and, of emotions and, in like a tumble dryer, really. That's how some of the clients describe how they're feeling. It's like someone shoved them in a tumble dryer and you get all this advice from everywhere. But how? And that's where coaching comes in.
So of the clients that you see, what would you say 99% of them come to you as the main reason for their relationship breaking down?
I think it's loss of interest. People feel trapped in a relationship. Like I said earlier, it's about waking up one day and looking at your partner saying, who are you? I don't even know you.
But is it not partly that they take you for granted? They think you're going to be there day in, day out when they come home? Because I've had clients on the receiving end of divorce and they say, I never thought that they would ever divorce me.
Yeah.
I didn't think they had the strength. I mean, that's amazing.
That's not
amazing,
healthy.
isn't it? I didn't think they would ever leave me.
Yeah,
I didn't think they were strong enough. And I'm not saying he or she because I've had it both sides.
Yeah. But also I think it's kind of ignorant sometimes, if I can say that word.
Or deluded.
What you just said, I would think that's ignorance.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why would you say that?
The one that's causing the most of the problem, they don't see it. They don't see their own behaviour. They don't see themselves come home and they're straight on their phone or in their laptop or in the TV.
I had a client once that called me and he said to me, I thought everything was fine until I was told it wasn't. And he was like, where was I? Like, what happened? Like, have I missed 10 years of my life?
Yeah.
I went to work, I provided, we went on holiday. I've done everything I could have done. What else could I have done better? And I just said, when was the last time you asked this question your wife?
And what was the answer? Before we continue this episode, we have a word from our sponsor. This episode of Is That Legal is proudly sponsored by Oliver Lorenz Studios, your on-demand design team for B2B service providers. They're your dedicated design partner, delivering consistent, high-quality creative without the overhead of hiring in-house. Think bold branding, polished presentations, and visual content that actually moves the needle? Check them out at oliverlorenzstudio.com. Design support just when you need it. And what was the answer?
Silence.
they just never had in a decade.
Yeah. You know, people come and say, what would be the most, like, what would break the marriage? I'm like, I don't know what would break your marriage. Ask your partner, what do you think would break our marriage?
It's funny, so people ask you
Yeah.
what would break their own
Yeah.
marriage.
Yeah. That's something you have to work out with the partner, with the person that you live with. Because you might not have communication, so, you know, people might say lack of communication. But there might other things that they communicate in a different way. It doesn't have to be a verbal communication. It can be physical. You know, we talk about, you know, languages of love and, you know, all sorts of things, different cultures, different way of, you know, expressing, looking after each other. But that's a language you've got to work out between you.
I love language.
I love language, expectation, language, communication. That's you. That's your journey.
So when they ask that question, what sort of things do they come back with?
Surprised that actually they haven't asked those questions before.
Yeah.
Or they didn't know. People always make excuses. I mean, I always laugh. You know, I'm a divorce coach. Now I'm in a second marriage. I'm 46 years of age. I've got 3 children. You know, I should know better. I know all the tools. I've been through training. I still catch myself with my husband being quite unable to cope in some of the situation or check in with myself, because actually sometimes you talk to clients and you think, actually, when did I do last this? So I'm like back home, you know, because you do as a human, you kind of not get lost, but you forget to stop and think and reflect. And
I had a client come to me quite a few times over a period of a year. She did all the traditional stuff. I think the kids were 4 and 6, 2 boys. She took them to all their sports, all the school runs. She was on all the committees. At the weekend, when the husband was meant to be home, he would just go out on his bike, but not for a while, 6 to 8 hours, like the whole day. And as it went on, I said to her once, how is everything now? She said, it's fine. And I said, well, what did you do? She said, I lowered my expectations.
oh,
So
why?
that's how she's dealt with it. She said, you know, I just lowered my expectations and now I find things to do with for the boys at the weekend.
But what's going to happen when they get older and meet their own partners or go with their friends?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't had a check-in for a while.
Right.
I mean, sometimes with clients, when they speak to me about divorce, I say, how sure are you? Yeah. Has the switch flicked? I have to say, women more than men are certain when they come. Men are a little bit, they dilly-dally a little bit. They're not 100%. But women, I think, once the switch is switched, that's it, it's off.
Yeah. Well, because women, from what I'm from the clients and people I speak to, is that we think about it for quite a long time. You know, like
Bottle it up.
we do, and then when we're ready, we almost like build a platform for when we're ready to jump on it and say, we're done. We've already done. So sometimes it comes as a shock for a man because they're like, what? You know, we're like, we've had enough. I had enough. One day you actually get on that platform and say, I'm done, I'm opening the door and I'm out.
Do you set yourself milestones like, I'll wait till the youngest reaches 16 and's done the GCSEs?
Yeah.
Or I'll just get little Toby through the A-levels?
Yeah. And then something else happened. So I work with a client so she did all the research, she did everything. She spoke to solicitors, she spoke to financial advisor, dug out every single financial, bank accounts, pensions. She was like proper did
A due diligence.
Yeah, it was just, and it was like, okay, I do it like she said, like when the kids do this, when did this, it's not really the right time. The husband is stressed. He's going to maybe attack me more. Or, it's like we're going to wait for this perfect moment to get divorced. And part of the work that we did was about preparing her to say it. And it's tough because it's a loss. It's a loss of identity, loss of the dreams that you hope for.
Yeah, you mourn.
Yeah.
The loss of...
Yeah.
Because like we said at the beginning, you fell in love, you had those butterflies, you got engaged, you had that happiest day of your life. And clients... through all of the one divorces that I've had, that was the happiest day of their life. And how did it go from that to... I had clients that were married for 24 years, and she went to his house, smashed up his Ring doorbell, scratched all of his face. We had to get a non-molestation order. So they'd gone from the happiest day to physically attacking each other outside the house, smashing up the doorbell.
It's a trauma. You're going through a grieving process, and you know the stages of the grieving process. There is a stage of anger. And I'm not saying it's okay, but it's quite normal. Obviously not normal to get violent, but it's normal to be angry.
How would you advise a client that was at that stage?
So a lot of, mirror work, a lot of kind of care, self-care, perhaps.
What's mirror work?
So it's basically trying whatever you want to tell that person or be angry with, you kind of try to let it out. So you can either write a letter, send a text message to a trusted friend. So it's kind of you almost like talking to that person.
Rehearsing it.
Yeah, so by the time you see them, you don't want to, you've already exhausted. You've already told them what you think about them. You're already, so that kind of anger goes down, and then you can hopefully deal with them.
So it's a process rather than an emotionally driven.
So you protect yourself from that. Or, it's with one of the clients, when you kind of separate and you end up still living in the same area, and there's only one waitress in a local area, and you know you're going to end up bumping into your ex with the new girlfriend. You do that work before, so by the time you see them in Waitrose, you don't just want to kill him and obviously do some stupid things, which is natural, not natural to obviously be physical.
Well, maybe it's in your instinct.
You just want to, especially if they don't pay maintenance money, or they've been late, or they messed up holidays dates, or it's people will manipulate people to get to them.
So on the couples that you've dealt with who have separated, what's like the most extreme thing that you've come across?
Yeah, so one of the clients I work with, she had 2 teenage children. She made them follow the dad around. One point she was telling me they were like standing outside the house watching kind of what was going on.
Outside whose house? Like
Dad's house.
So they lived with her.
With her,
and
yeah.
She said, "Go to your dad's house."
We literally asked him to follow him around and then stand outside and watch what he was doing.
But for him, what an infringement on his privacy.
Well, his privacy, but also what does that do to the children?
I fancy putting your children in that situation where they've got information that will break your heart.
Yes.
And they've got to wrestle with, do I tell mum or not?
Yeah. Or take photos, or, when another client I work with, kind of on and off, he as a man, so I don't want to, everyone thinks that women just do things like this. He will ask his children to take photos when they're with the mom, so he can see who is in the house. So just pretend you do this, or because they actually complain to the mom, and they say that that's kind of forcing them to take photos of the holidays or people mom seeing, but in a way that they're like, oh, just come, sit in between the mom and the person that is there and just take a photo, pretend that it's not, it's yeah.
So if a client's telling you they're getting their children to do that, I mean, you can't be so brazen as to say you're abusing your kids. So what angle do you come at that from?
I mean, first of all, you've got to work on that person, what's going on for them, and what was what's kind of reason behind it. So in coaching, you try to kind of get the person to understand from the child's point of view, and for example, get them to get to that realization that that's actually not healthy, and also give them some tools to manage their emotions, so hopefully they don't do that to the children. Because actually everything starts from you. Yes, we use the children, the gadgets, we do things, smash the cars, but it's about working with that person and what's going on for them.
Yeah.
Because everything starts with you.
In meeting with people that are going through this, are they all just acrimonious, or do you have ones that have a really amicable separation?
Not many, but yeah, I can think of one couple, or I work with the actual mom, And they had them amicable. I mean, don't get me wrong, amicable in a way that there were still emotions, right? They did the right thing. They did the fair split of the finances. You know, he moved not far from where they lived. But she came to me because it was more like a post-divorce, because once everything was finalized and everyone meant to live happily ever after, it kind of brought a lot of emotions for her. So I got involved to help her with a bit co-parenting with a teenage daughter, just to do some parenting with her and kind of help her how to talk to the child. And obviously, whilst we were working together, the kind of divorce, you know, came up, a few times. So it was amicable. They were very professional in front of the children, work well together. But obviously, she had to take that emotion somewhere to then
To offload.
be able to manage that, because it's not easy when it was okay, I think, until really she never admitted to me, but my feeling was that he met someone and she never admitted to that, as if that was the problem.
So, but did she tell you that there was someone else?
Yes.
But she never said that was her big problem.
Yeah.
How did she manifest her problem? What would she say the problem was in her head?
It was just parenting.
So she would always say, I'm totally fine with the split.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine he's found someone else. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, but it was things like about parenting that maybe he didn't follow some of the stuff that she was doing, because they had this agreement, which you should, that kind of the parenting was very similar in both houses. So if the children were doing something, that the dad would follow and the other way around. But there was a shift. And obviously there's another person involved.
Yeah.
So then we worked a lot on one-to-one times.
It makes your toes curl and
Yeah.
you grit your teeth. So do you have clients that will manifestly lie to you?
Sometimes you talk to a client and you think, oh, something's not right here. But you can't obviously challenge them. You kind of led by your client.
What are the telltale signs?
The stories don't match up, the body language. It's almost like they're telling you that that's how they behave because that's how they wanted to behave. And
then you say, oh, that's good. That was very sensible and mature, and you managed that really well. But secretly you're thinking, you didn't do it like that.
One person I worked with went so quickly into divorce process because she was trying to hide things, and she was hoping if she pushes the divorce process and get the husband confused.
What, hide money or hide something she had done?
Yeah, like things she obviously saved, and it's almost like that. It's all gonna be, say yes to everything.
Yeah.
But then I don't know how the husband find out, and he
did find out.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation because you do lie to yourself sometimes. You do lie to yourself because you don't want to believe that this is happening to you. You don't want. You're scared, so you're gonna lie to other people to protect what you've got.
How can my marriage fail?
Yeah, but also if you feel like you're gonna lose everything, you're gonna keep what you've got and hope for the best, right? But you do hear some stories from clients and you just think, where is the limit to how much they think they're entitled to things, or, so they do kind of start lying.
So for the people listening, for the audience, what would you say the key takeaways are when it comes to divorce and divorce coaching?
So get support as early as you can. Don't struggle on your own. Don't read things. Don't listen to people, what they say, because there's a lot of myths, what ifs and buts. And also, divorce process doesn't actually ruin people or families. It's how people manage it. And I think that's a really key point, because people think of divorce like this. I'm not saying divorce is not a heavy, not a heavy thing to go through. It's obviously, we talked about this, it's not but it's how we manage it. And if we don't get the right support, it can turn into a conflict, confrontation, anger, because if you've got someone to support you through that process, that makes it more easier to navigate.
I think that's great. So thank you for listening to another episode of Is That Legal with me, Paul Britton, and my great guest,
Monica Braglewicz.
If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. And if you would like to support the channel, then please make sure you follow us and hit the double notification bell.